Hey everybody, it's Brainbean here again, and today I'm joined by Yarnila and Dalinsia. Now these are the guys behind the web show Voices of Terminus, but I wanted to bring them on and do a little bit of a Q&A, introduce you guys to them, and talk a little bit about what VOT really is. So Yarnila, for those of you who don't know, can you tell us a little bit about the concept behind Voice of Terminus?
Well, it started back in, I think it was early March, when another game we were playing kind of disappointed us, and we started to look more in depth into Pantheon, and I think it was the first stream they did. So me and Dal sat there and we said, we need to promote these guys, push it out there, give them some support, because it's going to be an absolute amazing game. So we were sitting there just thinking about what we're going to do, what we're going to call it, and we kind of put the show together in a matter of minutes. Basically, it was, I think, a day or so is what it took us to get everything set up, and then we just launched from there. So that's basically how it all started, and it was only meant to be a show originally, and then other people got involved, like Kodiak and Lexa, and from there it evolved into its glory that it is today, with a guild and everything supporting it behind it.
Can you kind of explain, what compelled you guys to really put this show together? Why make a web show about Pantheon? What is it exactly that really inspired you guys to get out there and sort of start creating this show?
Okay, well, kind of piggybacking off of what Yarnila said, we were looking forward to another game that was coming out, but it was canceled. So we started looking for another MMO to play, and we stumbled upon Pantheon, and we heard bits and pieces and some rumors. So we decided to look at it, and then when they did the first Twitch stream, we just wow, this is looking pretty good. It reminded us of, me personally, my EverQuest days, and how I had a lot of fun playing that for about 8 years. And we said, hey, you know what, man, these guys are really trying to kick it off. They had a failed Kickstarter, and we're like, we could give these guys some love, help push the game, because we wanted to see from the game tenets, from what we were reading, it's we want to see this game succeed, because these are some of the tenets that I think a lot of older players miss about the original EverQuest that really kind of started the whole thing. So we're like, you know what, let's do this. Let's go ahead and let's create a show and let's push it out there. But like Yarnila said, it was just, we started with the show, but then it evolved into a guild. So it was quite a cool experience so far.
And it's interesting you mentioned that, because I think there are quite a few people that have already been interested in Pantheon, chances are they've either caught in one of your streams or have seen one on YouTube uploaded after the fact. But I don't think too many people really understand that VOT is also a guild. So how did that come about, and kind of what are the core values, and what could somebody expect if they wanted to join the Voices of Terminus guild?
To start off with, I could say the best part about it is that we had the show. We were doing pretty well. We grabbed some fans in. Folks were really paying attention because they're excited too and enthusiastic. And we started talking because we were trying to say, hey, we should create a guild too. And we were trying to come up with a name for it, but we couldn't quite figure out what we wanted to go with, because we didn't want it some sort of generic Knights of Honor or anything weird like that, you know. So we said, you know what? I think we kind of got a guild name already, the Voices of Terminus. It's a community inclusive name, and what we talk about, we try to include the community in our show. So we're just like, you know what, let's go ahead and make our guild name, the Voices of Terminus. That way we can bring more people in. They know we're community based, and we're happy to bring a lot of people on board that like our tenets and what we believe in. And we're all about respect, reputation, taking care of one another in the guild, and treating other players with respect and dignity on the server. And that's kind of where we're going with it. That's going to be kind of our theme. And we're almost like a family guild, but not quite. We're probably going to have some divisions that are going to be, rating specific or just casual play. So we're going to try to cater to a lot of people. And right now we're looking at an international perspective as well, because we have a lot of Australians on board who want to join the Voices of Terminus as well. So we might even give them their own division and join with the VOT tag under their name as well.
It's interesting that you bring up respect and reputation, because in a game like Pantheon, these things are going to be more important than they have been in a very long time in the MMO world, because of the nature of no dungeon finder and the importance of having a good reputation. So when people see that VOT tag, if this is, how the core values of the guild is, things like that, as that reputation builds, people will see that tag and say, hey, this is a solid person. I can count on him to join my group and know what he's doing and behave accordingly. So, Yarnila, do you have anything you want to add as far as that goes?
No, I think Dal nailed it with his description of the
well done
guild itself. Yeah.
Okay, so Yarnila, can you tell us about how you and Dal came to be? Because I hear that it's a bit of an epic bromance.
Yeah, it started back in 2014 when we were playing Landmark, and we met in the caverns, and he was running about in the caverns with his wife, and had proximity chat on, and he was talking about something to his wife about an update or whatever, this, that, and the other, and I was kind of like running around there myself. And I had my proximity chat on as well, so I answered him and corrected him on his question, and then we got to chatting and started running about, and ever since then, we've been, together day in, day out, and we formed a guild in Landmark and did a show there, and we've carried on ever since, and it's been a great success. It's been a lot of fun. It's like salt and pepper, basically.
Dal, you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I guess it's kind of happened that way. We're just hanging out in Landmark and kind of ran into each other in the caves. And there was a bad patch that Landmark had, and we were hearing rumors about what they call loot caves, and there was all these dozens upon dozens of chests about. So the word got around. So we spent quite a few hours just collecting these chests and ganging up loot. So that's kind of how we kind of hit it off, and the word got around, and a lot of other players started hopping into these loot caves, as they were called, and that's kind of how we kind of went from there and created the world-famous Builders Guild in Landmark. And we kind of got burned out on Landmark a little bit because they had been having their issues and stuff, so we decided we were going to look for something else, so we stumbled upon Pantheon.
All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to start with you, Yarnila. Why don't you tell me a little bit about what class you plan on maining? Now, of course, people that have watched the show, the web stream, you guys already kind of have your associated class and race identities that you have chosen. But for some of those that may not know, and this is something I personally like to ask everybody that I kind of bring on and chat with, what class are you looking forward to? And if you know your race selection as well, what are you going to main? Well,
I've always played healers as my main characters. I played a druid in EverQuest 2, a warden. Since there is little information on the druid at the moment, I want to be a prime healer. I'm going for cleric at the moment, and I'll be playing a Darkmere. That will be my race of choice at the moment, because they're so intriguing and it's a very interesting backstory. So that's what I'll be going for.
Yeah, I think Pantheon, like you said, they have a lot of interesting race choices, and something that makes it really easy to get behind those races is it's not like some games where you pick that race just because it looks really cool, but because there is such an interesting backstory to that race. None of them are like, just the supreme powerful, everything went well for them. They all have their own sets of trials and tribulations that they've gone through, whether they're rebuilding or they're kind of shunned at the moment or things like that. And it makes for interesting, it's easier to get into the character and makes it more believable. So, Dal, how about you?
I'm going to go with the Darkmere Summoner, and kind of the reason why is I am interested in the backstory behind the Darkmere, and also because they're an underwater race. It takes me back to my Kedge Keep days in EverQuest 1, where I loved Kedge Keep. A lot of people hated Kedge Keep, but I loved it because just the confined keep and how dangerous it was to maneuver around, and if you screwed up and cast an AoE spell, you could end up killing your party and dragging the entire zone upon you. So with the Darkmere being a underwater race and coming onto the land of Terminus, it makes for an interesting backstory. And then just being the summoner part, I played a mage for 8 years in EverQuest, never played anything else. So it was like my diehard character. I really learned the mage in and out, and the more I played the mage, the more I liked it, because I was kind of a very helpful class, because I could summon up weapons, food, water, drink, all that stuff that could help other players. And I just like the idea too of having the pet there as well, the different elementals you could use for the different types of battles. So yeah, definitely the summoner.
Yeah, Magician was actually my first big EQ main as well, and you're very versatile, and the ability to summon different items is very useful, like you said. So there's definitely a lot of appeal to playing a class like that. I think I'm probably going to go with good old-fashioned human Crusader at this point. I like the utility and diversity behind a class like that, but I also really like that Pantheon is not making it to where, I could spec in and be the best tank in the game, or spec over and be the best healer in the game. I'm perfectly okay being the best at absolutely nothing, but I would like to be able to at least be able to help out and maybe even turn the tide in a situation where we pull too much and the healer's low on mana and you can spot heal, or you could spot tank one mob off to the side. May not have the best damage or the best mitigation or the best healing, but to be able to just step in and kind of, fill a small gap when it's there, that's kind of what I'm okay with doing, and I think that's kind of the road that we're on to right now with classes like that, which is as they should be, and that's a really exciting prospect for me that likes to play those hybrids. I don't expect them to be the best at anything. So just to kind of wrap up, what is your guys' opinion on the game currently in development? Do you guys have any particular things that you want to talk about, or at least your general opinion of where we're at in the game and how encouraged you are as to kind of the game's progress? And then Dal, we can start with you.
Well, first off, I'll say I'm a VIP, so I just signed up and paid the $1,000 and pledged it in, so I'm excited about that. I think the game's doing really well. When we first saw the Twitch stream, I noticed right after the bat how stable the game was, the environment was. So that really impressed me right there, because a lot of pre-alpha, and a lot of folks forget this is a pre-alpha stream. They forget how stable some pre-alphas are, and if you were ever experienced a Landmark pre-alpha, it was it was crazy. Crashing out, servers couldn't take it. So to see this stable was a great sign to begin with. And currently with the state of the game, I know they're working really hard. They just put on like 5 more developers onto the team. So I think a lot of folks sometimes are so enthusiastic, and even ourselves, we find ourselves sometimes overly enthusiastic and can't wait for the next great thing to come out, from VR, talking about Pantheon. But they're working hard, and this game is going to go back to the tenets, what they post on their website. I recommend everybody go read the tenets, because this is a game, if you're an older EverQuest player, this game's going to appeal to you, because I think that's where they're kind of going with this, but with some modern twists too, because they're going to introduce some awesome environments, some atmospheric conditions that are actually going to affect you while you're in combat, hot and cold, wind, starvation. I mean, all that stuff's going to actually kind of mess with the tactical environment when you fight and carry on in your Ventures of Terminus. And I think that's one big part too that really appeals to me, is that the dev team's really focusing on getting you, the player, to actually focus on the environment, the immersion of the environment, like putting a castle, for instance, off in the distance. Instead of just wandering through the world, you're actually going to kind of be drawn to that castle just naturally by looking around and go, hey, let's go check that out. And then on your way, you might stumble upon something, which brings into the perception system, which I really like, is you might stumble upon something, and in your party, 6 people are with you. Only one of you actually gets the secret perception message saying, hey, there's something over here. And then everybody else is like, why are you stopping? Hey, guys, I just found something. So now you're distracted from the castle, and now this guy's found something else in your party. So I think it's going to be a very unique system, how they're going to give quests and just bring the adventure to the players, the lore and the story. So I'm really looking forward to it. So I can't wait.
Yeah, I think the perception system is going to change the way people expect to play MMOs. No more quest hub to quest hub. You get to spend way more time, like I've said 100 times already, but you get to spend so much more time out adventuring and finding your own things to do, rather than just going from the level 1 to 5 zone and then the level 6 to 10 zone and just doing this pre-plotted map every single time. You get out there and you find your own things, make your own adventure, and this is as it should be, and that's kind of how it was in tabletop games, where perception was how you found things due to your different perception scores and things like that. So, Yarnila, what do you have to add?
Well, I'm just happy that how professional the team is. They were from the get-go. Basically, they've shown a level of professionalism that I have missed for many years in game companies. They're so open to the community and everything. And for me, the most important thing is the dynamics, the Pantheon difference. That's what sparks my interest in this game, is that they're actually taking it to a new level, trying to actually bring an immersive world that is alive, not just you as a player who immerses into the world, but the world around you actually gets involved with you, etc. So that's what I'm looking forward to the most. I mean, everything that, like Dow said, the very first stream, it was absolutely solid, no mistakes whatsoever, no falling through the world. And I'm just glad they're taking their time as well. No matter how pushy people are on the forums or out in the web, these guys are staying solid to their cause, and go in their direction, their speed, and doing what they need to do to get it done.
Mm-hmm. And I think, you mentioned the first stream, and a lot of us do agree that it went really, really well. I mean, it did. But I think some people expected to see like an E3 demo when they saw this first stream, which, as you know, is already a scripted thing. That's not usually normal gameplay in an E3 demo. We're seeing pre-alpha stuff, which is stuff most developers don't even really show the public ever. This is a rare thing. And the fact that they're confident enough in their game, in their design, which we know all the models and all that stuff, it's just placeholder. It's just for the development and testing purposes. But I think it's hard for people to kind of get past that, because it's not necessarily normal practice for a developer to show us stuff this early on. But I think people need to understand that it's a very, very encouraging sign to see that, hey, the game's going this well this early. And the placeholder graphics don't even look all that bad. I'd be happy to jump in and play it now if I could, So right. I think, like I said, it's very promising, and the game's looking like it's coming on great. So I can't wait for the next stream, because we've already seen that they've kind of talked about it a little bit. I can't wait to see what they're going to show us next.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys, just to wrap this up here, you can check out the Voice of Terminus stream at 4 p.m. Eastern Time every single Thursday. You can also visit their website at pantheon/VOT.com for information about the guild, Pantheon, the web show, and much more. Guys, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Not really. Just if you're interested in watching our show, please join us. We do a lot of theory crafting, brainstorming, and the developers have told us they do watch our show. So if you want to come out, give your opinion, ideas for the developers to maybe include or think about for Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, definitely join us in our stream. We're more than happy to have you in our team speak and put you up on cam and talk about the show and the game.
Yeah, I think that's one of the great unique things about your show too, is how open you are to having anybody come onto the show and chat with you guys. And like you said, this is something that's on the developers' radar, and they do see what you're doing and listen to it. That's one thing we know that VR does, is they take our feedback and they listen to it. So anybody that wants to have their voice heard, that wants to kind of get in there and theorycraft and share your opinions, be sure to check out the VOT stream, jump in there and get involved. That's really the way to do it. Yarnila, anything else you'd like to add?
Just thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for coming on, guys. I know I've been wanting to have you guys on here for a while, and I'm glad we finally were able to make it work. I think your stream is something that, you guys have a really good mission in what you're trying to do and promote Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. And, I've just been looking forward to having you guys come on for a while, kind of share your message with everybody and promote the show a little bit, because you guys definitely deserve it. So thanks so much for coming on, guys, and we'll look forward to chatting to you guys next time.
All right, thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Thanks. All right. Get.
Cool. That's a wrap. We survived.
We survived.